Welcome. Thank you, friends from Santa Teresa, for coming. This is the first time I will be sharing the findings I have had with the quantum machines, the biofeedback, the resonance, the health coaching. And I'm honored and humbled to do it here where there are so many healers and persons who know so much about health, and to do it in English. This is the first time I do it in English, so let's see how it goes. Well, first of all, for who doesn't know me first time, or maybe you just saw me, I will share 3 theses I have done in my life that I think that they are a milestone in my life of who I am today. First, my thesis of business administration. I started in business administration, and I had to do the thesis based on a milk house. So how much productive a milk house was. So for getting the production, I had to get in tune with what was happening with the cows. The cows had to feel well. If they got illness in a knee, they produced 70% less. Imagine, like, for a person looking at numbers, checking that the emotions were affecting the performance of the business, and then, like, the hippie times came for me, and it was like, no, this cannot be, like, we cannot be separating the mothers from the children, and they, of course, it's affecting their emotions and how they're working, and we have to make them happy, like with ventilators, with mist of water, for them to be happier. And then I went and was singing with the singing bowls to the cows for them to be happy. And, there was the hippie time, and suddenly when I understood, when I understood the message of that, of like caring, it was like a ritual. I was doing the singing bowl with water. A week later, a flooding came and took out. They had to sell all the cows. It was like they could not be there. So it was like, okay, that was something going on. I was not still aware. I now understand it with this different awareness. But then my second thesis was on emotional intelligence, coaching and emotional intelligence. In the masters, I could do a diplomatura on that, and by this moment, I was already getting out of depression and overweight, but I knew that, as the Buddha says, the boat is not the shore. Sometimes we think that the arriving to the boat is the shore. No, I knew that getting out of the depression and the addictions to food, to video games, to party, if I did not solve it from the core, it would come back. It's like, if you stay in the same environment, in the same city, with the same people, it will pull you back. It's epigenetics. Now I know the word. So I did that, of emotional intelligence. And the second thesis was on re-agreements, like the capacity of renegotiation. When we start changing and transforming, people will keep projecting the old version of us, as my father, when I am Argentinian. So you will imagine that my father had his way of expressing love through making asado. So when I said I'm vegetarian, he started freaking out, like, it's like, you don't love me, like, what were you going to do? Yeah. It's like
crisis.
It's crisis, like this. It starts making a disruption. So this thesis, all what I learned there was like renegotiating. Okay, I know this is the agreement or the underlying agreements, subconscious that we think, but we can re-update the agreements. So I learned about renegotiation, and I started applying it, and it brought so much peace in my life. Like, sometimes I was late all the time because something happened, and then I was, like this tree was talking to me, so I have to stay half an hour extra hugging the tree because I was getting a message from the universe. And it was like I started negotiating again, even with the beings that were pulling for my attention when I was more open. It was like, hey, now I cannot, or I am arriving a little bit later, and you start renegotiating, and I started winning much more peace in my life. And that was complicated for even relationships, that when we are transforming or trying to get into a new version of us that stays, it's harder. For example, when I started taking off with the coaching and the speaking career, there was a wedding of a friend of 5 years that we were partying, and he was like the soul brother of parties, and it was like, man, I had these conferences, I'm coaching this congressman and everything, and it's like, I cannot just go back just for your wedding to get drunk and like party for 2 days. It didn't make sense for who I was. So I had to make the decisions of like, hey man, I'm not going to your wedding. And those inner decisions free me from those relationships. He never talked to me again.
Of course, I would not talk to you again also.
I don't care. And I don't care really.
You can go and you don't have to drink.
Yeah, but it was like so counterproductive.
Him.
The guilt trip, you get immunity to the guilt trip, and time proves that. You get immunity to all those hooks of dynamics of, if people really cared for me and my well-being, they would say, hey man, I'm glad for you. Never thought and cared. And when I saw him, he was miserable. And the connection, the agreement that was made was like, okay, let's go get drunk and numbed and all that stuff. And then I realized cutting off people like that of my life, it's the decision. Whoever is, or even putting them on a pause until they update. So that was my second thesis. And the third one was on past life integrations recently. That it was very metaphysical. I went from business, from being overweight, 105 kilos, in autoimmune diseases. I had arthritis in my knees. There was like glasses inside of the body. I could not find positions to sleep. Like, it was miserable. I was, until I was 23, it was like miserable. Like, I wanted to numb myself with video games, playing 10, 12 hours a day, just to not feel, and the only impulses that got me out of the bed was playing more video games or party or food. So, miserable existence. And I was really thinking like dark things of, I would prefer my legs to be chopped off. Like that level of pain of, I put, like, if this is going to be the cost, and it was very dark time. But coming from there to start dancing, connecting with more subtle people, and then in the book I wrote 2 autobiographical books where I put this part that's called Dancing Through the Pain. And I said, yeah, there's a moment of pain and I had to endure it and go across. And then I went to many classes of hip hop and street dance, and then I represented Argentina in Hip Hop International and became World of Dance Ambassador in South America. And it was like, when there's a will, there's a way. That was the lesson with the dance. But that was not that was in between. My third thesis was on past life integrations. Past life integrations, I had some tools, I had some remembrances of what was happening metaphysical. For example, when I was getting divorced, the last year, 2 years ago, I was about to come to Costa Rica to ship all the things of the house And just the thought of that crippled me. Like I had disc hernia of just thinking of going and dealing with all the stuff. And there was no physical reason for me to have disc hernia. No physical reason. Training every day, yoga every day, swimming in thermal waters, dieting, abs, core.
Swimming in thermal water is
Yes.
cold water?
No. Warm thermal waters, Olympic pool. Like there was no reason for me to have disc hernia. Metaphysical trigger. I do the past life integration with my teacher, and I was locked in a fight with a bear. I say, what's a bear? What? And I'm a bear too. And we were locked in, and when we are in there, I get like an arrow suck here in that part, so I cannot walk, and then they execute me, and then the soul keeps watching because the soul gets traumatized. And then I realized, okay, that trauma from the soul still broadcasts the signals to the hologram or the avatar of now, and was still living it. So, and then I understood why I was so angry at shamans and the paraphernalia of like showing all the stuff. I got triggered because then the shamans put the skin of the bear, pretending that they were like killing the bear, and it's like, and I was so angry, like they killed me when I was distracted, you know. And then I realized I was triggered by these shamans everywhere, because it's like they're just pretending they did something great. And anyway, there was all these subconscious beliefs playing out from the soul. And then this year when I did the thesis of past life integrations, there's a woman from England that comes, and she was having problems of money itself, and then belly, stomach, and she was always all the time looking for static dance and like musician tours and all that stuff. And she comes for that thing of the money. I was like, okay, I have a mix of things, but I have to solve why I cannot hold this money, or why there's always something that is against myself when I'm trying to make money. So she goes in a sequence of lives where she saw a banker coming to collect. And I said, how's the banker? And it's like, I don't know, it's like, this is very crazy, but he has a face of a reptile. Okay. Keep going back to why he's collecting. And then they say, I am in a arena, I'm in an arena, like a big like stadium, and they are coming in a spaceship and throwing money to all the people that are there in the arena. And when people grab the money, because they gather people in desperation, they all grab the money, suck. There's some lasers that chop them off and kill them all after everybody got the money. And I was like, okay, that's very metaphysical, crazy, cosmic, but has a reason, because we work with entities that know the rules of the game. And when we went to heal that, you can go back in time and see why she was in so much need, and the contract that was made through the device of money. So when they took the money, they accepted the contract, so their soul was locked in. And they trapped so many souls with those kinds of dynamics and traumas. So she could let go of the money, heal that body, recuperate the energy, help everybody, give by example, hey guys, lose them, like let go of the money, because this will enslave you. So you liberate a lot of souls through that process. And then, well, the mastery thing, that's why it was the thesis, because we do things like this all the time, like boats that sank, wars, people still traumatized